Am I the idiot for not allowing my homeless sister, her husband and their 5 kids live with me while they find an apartment? I'm a 33-year-old woman who lives alone in a small 1-bedroom apartment. I have a chronic pain/neurological condition that causes me to be laid up in bed most days, or at the very least stuck on the couch and heavily medicated. My sister, 31, got married last year to a man who has 4 kids and then had a child of her own. At the time everything seemed okay. They were both working, however in a span of 6 months both were fired from their jobs for theft. After they both lost their jobs they stopped paying rent and were always broke. They moved into several family members' homes, however were asked to leave after a few months either by the family member or the landlord of that family member's home. Soon they were living in a hotel room that social assistance was paying for, but they even managed to screw that up by not claiming the correct income they were receiving from the government, which turned out to be $6,000 a month with COVID payments and child tax credits. They were asked to leave, and they decided the best thing to do was live in a tent behind a family member's apartment building. During this time I was nagging them about looking at apartments, applying for jobs and warning them that this was not okay for the kids. I warned they were going to lose custody if they were not careful. The 2 older children were thankfully taken back by their mothers for the time being. However, the 7 and 5-year-old's mother had lost custody, and so they needed to be cared for by their father and my sister. As time went on, neither of them got jobs or apartments for various reasons, and they were eventually told to stop living in a tent by the owner of the apartment building. Yesterday I received a text message from my sister asking if she could come visit and spend the night. The text sounded strange, so I asked if there was anything she wanted to tell me. She eventually admitted they were being kicked out and had nowhere for the 5 of them to live, and wanted to know if they could stay with me for a while. I want to be able to help my sister, but I'm sick, and they have somehow spent all their money, and want me to let them live in a 1-bedroom apartment with 3 kids and 3 adults, while paying for everything. I know this sounds bad, but the 5 and 7-year-old are the worst behaved children I have ever met, and my apartment is small, not overly soundproof, and not in any way kid friendly. I know for a fact I would be evicted if I let them stay with me, because this is a quiet seniors and professionals building. I offered to take my sister and niece, but that is all I could do. She declined, screaming that I never liked her husband and all his kids and that's why I wouldn't help them. I feel guilty, but I cannot lose my home, and I cannot handle that many people in my home while I'm sick and in pain. They have since made other arrangements, but I don't know how my relationship with my sister will be after this. Am I the idiot for not letting them all live with me? Am I the idiot for saying my sister needs to stop bringing up her miscarriage for attention? Okay, this is a doozy, so please strap in and bear with me. For context here, my sister is 30, I'm 22. 10 years ago, my sister had a miscarriage. Obviously, it was devastating for her and the whole family, and it took her a couple of years to fully heal from it. We are still not 100% sure why it happened, but it was a one-off, and she's since had 3 very healthy, beautiful children, including a set of twins. So here's the thing. My sister and I don't really get on. She resented me as a kid because she had to share mum's attention, and because she thought mum left her dad to be with mine. Never really grew out of that resentment, and she was pretty much my biggest bully throughout childhood and my teenage years. One thing she absolutely cannot stand is when mum and I do things without her, or when mum pays more attention to me than to her. When this happens, she calls mum and says she's feeling really upset about the miscarriage, and without fail mum goes running. This includes a trip to Paris I took mum on for her birthday earlier this year, which she cut short because sister said she needed her. Also includes when I had a manic episode so bad I was hospitalized, and sister managed to need mum every time she was planning to visit me, and so she never did. Note, these times when mum is spending more time with me than her are the only times sister brings up what happened, and certainly the only time she still gets so upset about it. So recently I was sick. Like, don't leave the bathroom for days, can only keep water down sick. Didn't manage to get the doctor, but I think it was coronavirus. It lasted about a week. Mum was popping in daily on her way home from work to check on me and stuff. On the last day of being seriously unwell, when I felt I could eat again, mum offered to make me some soup, while she was there, which I accepted. She was halfway through making it when sister called her saying she was upset about the miscarriage and she told me I'd have to finish it myself because she had to go. I didn't say anything to mum and I finished making the soup, but I sent my sister a text saying she really needs to stop bringing it up for attention because she can't bear me getting some instead. I guess she told mum and her dad because I'm hearing from all sides what a horrible, insensitive, selfish bastard I am, and how dare I say that to her. I understand she may still be traumatized. I just think it's really weird how that trauma solely manifests whenever I'm getting attention and she isn't. Am I the idiot? Am I the idiot for not letting my sister see her kids? I, 28 female, obtained custody of my sisters, 35 female, kids, 9 male, 4 female, 2 female, back in 2018, after she left them alone for 2 weeks to go on a trip read drug bender. Of course this was a huge transition for the kiddos. They had to be moved schools and acres, and of course couldn't see their mom anymore. Now, the kids are doing better and definitely lead happier lives. Recently, though, my sister was released from prison and wants to see the kids again. She called me, begging to have a visit with them, and telling me that I could give them back because she was out of prison now. I've had a talk with the 9-year-old, and he says that he doesn't want to see his mom yet, and that he still hates her for leaving him alone. The girls have no memories of her, and the smallest one was only 3 months old the last time she saw her. I do feel like I could have helped them foster a better relationship with her, but I don't want to force the oldest into meeting her when he absolutely doesn't want to. Still, my close family has told me that the oldest doesn't know what he's talking about, and it's my fault the little ones don't remember their mother because I didn't take them to see her when she was in prison. They also told me that it's my responsibility to force them to meet her, even when they don't want to, because that's what's best for them, and they shouldn't grow up without their mother. So, am I the idiot? Edit. I have spoken to a professional about this, specifically the oldest's therapist. They have advised that it should be up to him. I just want to know if I'm being a jerk to my sister. Also, I have adopted the kids and have full complete custody of them. Update. Am I the asshole for not letting my sister see her kids? So I wasn't expecting to make an update post because I honestly wasn't expecting there to be an update to this. Unfortunately, I'm wrong. I gave my oldest 2 weeks to really think about whether he wanted to talk to my sister or not. I figured that the decision he made at first might have been made out of anger, so I wanted to give him time to make such an important decision. Ultimately, he decided that he did actually want to talk to her. I have to admit I was a little bit surprised, but we set up a Zoom call between them anyway, of course with me supervising. Right before the Zoom call he admitted to me that he wanted to talk to her, just to see if she'll say sorry. She did not say sorry. Actually she opened the call with, "Hello. It's been so long. I guess you're ready, come home with me now." And then she noticed that I was sitting there with him and almost immediately launched into accusations about alienation and how I have to give the kids back now or she'll call the police and say I kidnapped them. My oldest was very obviously disgusted. He asked her if she was going to apologize to him, and she actually had the audacity to ask what she had to apologize for. At that point, he just shut off the Zoom call. I asked him if he was okay, but he spent the rest of the afternoon in his room by himself. That night he told me that he never wanted to talk to her again, ever. I told him that never is a long time, but that we weren't going to make him talk to her if he didn't want to, and we were never ever going to give him back to her. He told me that never is a long time. We told him that in this case, it meant never. I'm still shocked. I don't know what happened to my sister. She was my best friend as a kid. She was almost my second mother. She was sweet and caring and nice. I just don't know how all that changed so fast. Or maybe it didn't change that fast, and I just never noticed until it was too late, and I was driving 4 hours away at midnight to pick up 3 little kids, one of which I didn't even know existed. Before now, I honestly never considered myself as their parent, even after I legally adopted them. More like I was just taking care of them long term. But now I realize that those kids are my kids. and they are going to be my kids for the rest of my, and hopefully their, lives. Thank you for all of your help, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Am I the idiot for getting upset that my sister's fiancé pulled me aside and patted me down at their wedding? The title sounds so stupid, but here we go anyways. I'm 24 and I'm an addict who has been in recovery for the past 6 months. I used and used until I was basically in poverty, and my older sister helped bail me out more than once. She's my best friend and I know it hurt her a lot to see me like that. She also met her fiancé 2 years ago, and he really only knew me as the junkie brother then. He's not my biggest fan, to say the least, considering how much I put my sister through. Despite this, she still invited me to her wedding last week because I'm her brother and she wanted me to be there. When I get to the reception, my brother-in-law is greeting people as they walk in. When I walk by, he pulls me to the side and in front of everyone starts patting me down and says that he needs to check me to make sure I didn't bring anything in. I instinctively pull away because why wouldn't I? And I tell him not to touch me. He tells me to calm down and that if I want to be here then he needs to do this. I tell him he's being ridiculous and I try to push past him. He stops me and tells me that he doesn't want to throw me out, but he will if he has to. I told him that he's trying to look tough, but it's just making him look stupid. At this point I'm getting more and more angry, and I'm practically yelling in his face at this point. Bystanders came between us and separated us and told my bill to just drop it. He said he would, but that they can deal with it when I get out of hand. I just went to go find a seat after that. After the reception, a lot of my family told me that I should let him just do it and that I was acting like a huge asshole and like I had something to hide. I don't think he had any right to pat me down, especially in front of people, and I don't think my reaction was over the top. If anything, he was the one acting like a huge douche by trying to start drama so he can look tough. My sister has refused to take any sides in this. Am I the idiot? Am I the a-hole for demanding my sister pay rent for living at home with my parents and refusing to pay my rent until she does? Background: I graduated from college 4 years ago, live at home with my parents. My sister graduated 2 years ago and also lives with my parents. We both got jobs pretty much straight out of college. I pay my parents $800 a month in rent since my first paycheck. This is a throwaway, and it's still fresh, and I'm really emotionally charged right now. Last night my parents were talking loudly about their financial problems in the living room. I overheard and I offered to help by paying more in rent. I was thinking $900-1000 since it covers utilities / phone / internet. My parents were grateful. Now, prior to this, I never asked my how much sister pays in rent. I always figured my parents charged us the same. So absent-mindedly I asked a follow-up question. Me, how much is my sister paying for rent? My mom, nothing. A long pause. Me, what do you mean she doesn't pay rent? My dad, visibly angry, your sister doesn't pay a ducking thing. My dad explained how my sister recently bought a brand new car and hasn't paid insurance on it, so my dad had to pay for it. She doesn't pay rent. She doesn't pay utilities / phone / anything. So for the past 2 years she's been living rent-free while I've been paying my parents. So later that night we had a family sit-down talk. My sister didn't want to pay rent, especially at how much I was paying. She offered $100. My parents suggested she pay $300. I pay $800, which my sister and I both rejected. The conversation ended with this: "Sister, duck you. I'm trying to live my life." These were her exact words, which annoyed me the duck off to holy hell. So my sister storms off to her room and it's now me, my parents in the living room. I'm extremely upset at this because it's massively unfair. My mom is upset that everyone's angry at each other, and my dad's angry my sister won't pay rent and she won't move out, and both my parents don't want a police involved. So I say my part before leaving. Me, I'm not going to pay any more rent until she does. It's only fair, right? And if I do pay rent, I pay whatever she's being. My mom, what if she pays $300 and you pay $800? Me, no. My mom, but, me, we really need the money. Me, that's too bad. I get up and go off to my room. So this morning my dad comes and tells me that I'm an idiot for not paying rent. That I should pay rent because it's the right thing to do and all this shit. I'm like, what the hell? Make my sister pay rent. My mom, who's listening in. You've seen her. She won't listen to us. Me, well that's too bad. My mom, really angry. Well we wouldn't have this problem if you didn't try to make your sister pay rent. That was the last straw that blew it for me. I slammed the door on my parents. As I'm typing this my parents are in the living room discussing how both their children are rotten and crap was better back in the home country / back in their day when kids listened to their parents. Like what the hell?